Hey guys, how's it going? I'm going to be doing another video today. This is going to be with JavaScript and HTML, as you can tell by the title. But what we're going to be doing in this tutorial is movement controls. So, in a lot of videos, you'll find that it's really smooth. It's really it's perfect. It's not really jittery. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new file. I'm going to go index.html. And we're going to create, let's just put our scripts, wanted to create a folder, not a file. So create a folder, and let's just call it scripts, and let's add a new file inside it. Let's just call it main.js. And that's all we need for now. But first what we're going to do is we're going to type in an exclamation mark and press enter. Now let's just call it movement controls, just like that. Now I have uploaded a basics tutorial. I suggest you go watch that. But if you have coded in JavaScript before and you know your way around things, then feel free to keep following. But the very first step we want to do is just reference that main.js. So we'll get a script tag and we'll do the source, so it's in scripts, and then we just go main.js. So what this does is it just goes, it looks through the scripts folder and it's looking for main.js and we'll link it. So now just to make sure that it's linked, we'll console.log and then we'll just go main.js loaded. And now once we load in, we will find that if we go into here, into the console, it should, yep, there we go, main.js loaded. Now, I'm going to be using a live server for this, but you can still just launch the index.html directly. Live server is just a little bit better because it's real-time updating, which is not necessary, but it's just a little better. Now, I think we're going to be doing the smooth movement controls first, so what we're going to do is create a canvas, and the ID will be, let's go just canvas. Alright, so now we got our canvas tag and an ID for it. So that's all set. Now we can go to our main.js, and let's just create a new line, and let's just create a constant variable, and let's call it canvas. Oh, made a spelling mistake. Canvas equals document dot, why is that create element? That's weird. Get element by ID canvas, and then we want to create another constant called ctx equals canvas.getContext 2D. Now, just to make sure everything works and that we have defined our variables correctly, I'm not sure whether you have to add a inner HTML here. I have mainly forgotten that part, but we'll just go here. I'll just like ctx.fill rect. Yep, that's all works. Okay, nice. Okay, so the second step that you want to do is you want to create an update function. Now, when I say an update function, we're going to make an animation frame and we're going to call this function every frame. So we'll create a function here and we'll just call it update. Doesn't have to be, but that's just what I'm choosing to call it. Now we can go request animation frame. Computer's a bit laggy today, don't know why. And then let's just put in here our update, just like that. Now we're going to go above that request animation frame and we're just going to ctx.fill rect, and let's just go 0, 0, 50, 50. I'm going to teach you what all these numbers mean in a second. Let's just make sure everything works. Of course, you also have to call the function in order for it to work. So now, just like that, we have drawn a square on the screen. That's pretty much the first step to it. Now to what these numbers mean. But before we do that, let's just define our x and y. So x equals, let's go 0 and let y equal 0. Now, in the ctx.fillRect, in the parameters here, right? So if you were to go into your console here and you went, let's just get rid of this for now so it doesn't break. And if we went ctx.fill rect and we went inside the parameters, you can see there is an x and a y, a width and a height. Now as long as you just remember that, so say we wanted the x to be 50 away from the left side, and we wanted the y to be 50 from the top, and the width can be 100 and the height can also be 100. Now that would draw a square just like that. It's that easy. So that's all those numbers mean. So got the x, the y, width, and then the height. That's how the CTX works. But so for now, let's just go with CTX for rect, and instead of putting numbers in like 50, 50, you know, whatever, we're going to have variables. These variables here are going to be what controls the value of where we're going to be placing this square. Now, we're just going to type in x, y, and however wide and tall you want the square to be. So we can just do 50 and 50 for now. That will make a square. If you went here like 100, that'll make a rectangle like that. But we're just going with 50 for now to make a square. Now, just like that, we've drawn our little square on the screen in 13 lines of code, which is pretty simple. It can get a little bit harder, but we'll work through that eventually. So the next step would be to let's create another script, and let's go input handler.js, and let's link it before we do anything. Scripts and then input handler.js. So now we've linked it, so everything we type in there is going to go through. Now what we want to do is we want to create an add event listener, and we want to listen for a key down, alright, for a key down event, and we just want to go function e. So pretty much what we'll do is this event listener is going to listen for when a key is pressed, and it's just creating a function here, and you don't have to put an E here, you can do like a H or R, E, A, B, doesn't matter. You can even do a word, you can just do like event, you know, doesn't really matter, but we can just stick with event for now if we wanted to, or just go with E. Now, to get an idea on how this works, what we're going to do is we're going to console.log some stuff out. Now if I went and did e.code, console.log, so what's going to happen every time we press a key, it's going to console.log the key that we pressed. So now if we go in here and I press W, it's going to be key W. If I went and pressed like any letter on here, so I just spam my keyboard and you got QWERTY right there. Spam keys all day long, it'll give you the exact key name for what key you press, but we just want the movement controls, which would be WASD and maybe space, depending on whether you want jumping mechanics or not. But for now, we're not going to get into any gravity, physics, or whatever. We're just going to be making movement controls across the screen. Now that we know what the values are, or what happens when you press the key, we want to check for if that key is equal to the event. So if the e.code equals let's go key S or W, then we want to, but to go any further, we want to add two new variables, right? Then we want to go let velocity x equal 0 and let velocity y equal 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to do if the event.code equals key W, actually let's go key D, then we want to pretty much just go velocity y equals 5 or something like that, you know. Then it's going to check for when the key D is pressed, it's going to set this variable to equal 5. That's all that's doing. So now if we went in here and we pressed and we had a look at our velocity, did I do velocity y? Why did I do that? I meant to do velocity x. Now if we went in here, so you can see our velocity x equals 0. Now if we press D and had a look at it again, it equals 5. So that's how you control an event. So what we want to do is we want to move our square when we press the key. Alright, so what we can do is we can go into our update function, and what we can do is we're going to let's go x plus equals velocity x and y plus equals velocity y. And now once we go here and press D, you'll see it's really crazy. Look at that. It just goes very far, and it's like it's just drawing a line pretty much. So to fix this, what we do is we want to go here and we just go ctx dot clear rect, and we want to go 0 0 and by canvas width. So we want to go from the x 0, from the y 0, and we want to clear the canvas width and height. So now, oops, that's not meant to be like that, that's meant to be like that. Clear rect. Now, once we press D, you can see, look at that. Now, it just keeps flying out of the screen, but we want to make our canvas width. Let's just go 1,000 for now, I guess, and then the height can also be like 600, something like that. Oops. Oh, gotta make sure we add pixels there, or else it's not gonna work. Now press D, keeps going. So we don't want this to happen. We want it to stop as soon as we lift off of the D key. Now what we do here is we want to create another event listener. So pretty much just copy and paste that, change this to when a key up, and if the key code is equal to that, so we'll just we'll just show you real quick. So console dot log, and let's just go e.code, and I'll show you when the key goes up, see it's D, press F, or it detects when the key is gone up, right? So pretty much the same thing. We want to check for when it goes up. So when the D key goes up, we want to set our velocity x back to 0. That's what we want to do now. You'll see once we go here, we'll restart and then press D. See, look at that. Just made our very own movement controls to the right. Now all we got to do now is just finish it by making the velocity y, velocity x. Now if you want to follow along with the tutorial, feel free, but I strongly encourage you to try and figure out how to do the next step by yourself. But if you wanted to do that, then just pause the video and try it. But for now, I'm going to be helping people who need the help. So we'll just go and e.code. We want to check for when the let's go key A key is down. We want to go velocity x equals -5. Alright? Now if you were to make it go just +5, then it will go to the right as well. But we want it to make it go to the left, which we'd have to do a -5, because we'll be minusing the x by -5. Now we have got our left and right, but we need to also make sure we reset velocity x for the A key, just like that. And now we should have our moving to the right and moving to the left. And look how smooth that is. It's nice and smooth moving controls. We don't have any problems just yet. Now let's just go and finish it off by making the W and S key. So e.code equals key S. Then we go velocity y equals 5, because we want to move down. And if the e.code equals key W, then the velocity y would equal -5, because we want to go up. We got to take away the y by 5. Now we want to pretty much just go and copy and paste this one into the key up event listener, and let's just change it to 0. Now once we go in here, we can now move down, up, sideways, whichever way you want. That's it. That's all we had to do. Now we've got really nice and smooth movement controls, but there's just one problem. When you move to the right and then try and move to the left, can you see that? See that how it like stops and then goes? So if I'm holding down the right button and then quickly try and go to the left, it just stops. Now, a really simple fix for this. We just create a velocity x left and a velocity x right. And that's all we have to do. And we just have to change this to velocity x right. And now, what we have to do now is we have to go into our input handler, and we have to make it so that when we are pressing D, we want to change our velocity x right to 5, and our velocity x left to -5 when we press the A key. And then just repeat the same thing here. And now we have fixed that problem. Super simple, super easy. It's really beneficial. I would recommend doing it. If you leave it out and you make a game with it, people could get frustrated with it. Just letting you know, it's a really good idea to put that in. But now we don't have that issue anymore. But we do have it with the Y as well. But you just repeat that same process using the velocity Y up or velocity Y down. Pretty much just the same process. But that's it. That's all you have to do for the CTX movement. Now, I will get into a simpler movement control style in a next video, but for now, this is it. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you learned something today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.